All right, welcome to M Talk, the Millennial Show. I am excited to be here. I am your host, Vincent Ellis White.
Once again, it's Hoy Kawake Simmons. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Hoy Kawake Simmons, Hoy Kawake Simmons on Facebook, and it is an honor to be here with Senator Jennifer McClellan today.
I am Jennifer McClellan. I am a native Virginian who born in Petersburg, raised down in Ettrick, and got interested in politics as a kid. Spent a lot of time volunteering on campaigns and doing internships in government, and then eventually decided maybe one day I want to do that. I'm also a lawyer. I'm a mom to two children, Jackson, 7, and Samantha, 3.
Okay.
Wife of Dave Mills, history buff, and involved in a lot of community organizations and nonprofits and boards, and basically I can't say no.
Can't say no. Hey, look, well, that's how we got you on the podcast.
That's true.
Considering that, you do a speech about Dr. Martin Luther King every year, I would say, is there anything in how he interacted as an activist that influences you and how you interact and conduct yourself as far as politically as well?
I think so. A couple of ways. So both, one's going to sound kind of deep and one's going to sound kind of not so deep. But so I've been a member of the Minority Party ever since I've been in the legislature. There have been lots of times where I've been frustrated at lack of progress on a lot of issues that I care about. And I remind myself that he never gave up sort of in the face of adversity. He had a lot of people who, the progress in the movement was slow and took a long time, but he kept at it. So I kind of use his example of, if he could stick with it, given everything that he had to face, what I have to face is nothing compared to that.
I mean, I know you remind yourself of what Dr. King went through. You've met all these wonderful people. But what do you do to woo-saw? Like to just, say, okay, let me, because everybody has their little things they do. Some people count to 10, some people...
Yeah, if it's really bad, I cry.
Really? Okay. Let's keep it real tonight.
Which, I know that sounds stereotypical girl thing, but it really is a release. And my husband likes to tease me. He calls me Spock because he's like, on the outside, you like to keep it really cool, but on the inside, sometimes there's a lot going on.
Spock.
As you see, we're in a changing political climate, and women are much more prominent and taking much more powerful roles in politics, and even at a grassroots level. Mm-hmm. And considering the election that happened in Alabama, women were very vital in that decision. But in lieu of all of that, we see all of these cases of sexism that come out. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, as a politician and as a woman, have you ever had to deal with sexism in the political arena? And if you did, how did you address it?
So not a little bit. I've never dealt with sexual harassment. There have been maybe some insensitive things said, or a little bit of a patronizing attitude sometimes. So when I first got elected to the House, I was the youngest woman. I was 32, and a lot of the older men that were in the legislature, like I was old enough, I could be their daughter. And at least one of them said, like, you remind me of my daughter. So what was interesting is they would treat me the way they wanted somebody to treat their daughter. I think the biggest thing I faced is when I had children, because I was the first House member to be pregnant while in office, and both of my children have been born since. And some of the attitudes, like a lot of people said, oh, well, I guess now you're not going to run for re-election. And I thought, well, why? Like, Chris Peace's wife had a baby, 3 months after I did. And I'm like, you're not asking him if he's going to retire. Like, why do I have to retire? Because I gave birth.
And so you spoke up at that time, or was that a thought?
No, I said that to I did say that to that person. I was like, no, I'm not retiring. Did you ask Chris? And they were like, no.
She's rebellious.
Right.
So from your perspective and the roundtable that you were involved in your daily work, what do you think are some of the reasons why you see kind of this advent of black women becoming so much more prominent in the political sphere?
I think on some level, we've always been there. It's just maybe not leading the charge. And so I think that's what's changed, is there are more who are saying, you know what, I can run for office. I'm not just going to be the one that elects somebody else. And I think a big part of it is in response to Trump and Trump's victory, and sort of a we just need to do more.
Yeah.
And not be afraid to do more.
So, what's your thoughts on immigration? And I'm giving you time to think about it, because
ready.
You're ready. Okay, well, hey, look, because Trump came out with his comments, and
he's an idiot.
yeah,
I'm gonna be in trouble now. Sorry.
Yeah, so he said S-hole, and talking about people from just other countries coming in here and things like that, caused the uproar. He started kind of backtracking, saying he didn't say it, but I think we all know that he said it. And now he just didn't know it would get out. I feel like he just didn't know it would get out. What's your thoughts on immigration, and just even that comment, if you want to comment on that?
So on immigration, I mean, look, we are a nation of immigrants.
We are.
I think unless you are Native American, you're an immigrant, or you're somebody in your family is an immigrant. And too often in history, people have decided who are good immigrants and who aren't, but that's just not right. And America was, from many points in history, has been like this ideal of where I can escape oppression or poverty, or just go have a better life and have an opportunity, but only for some people. And the sad thing about his guy, what I'm about to say I stole from Bobby Scott, so I'll give Bobby Scott credit.
Give him his credit.
Congressman Bobby Scott, my former congressman. He said, the sad thing is, yes, I was angry. I was furious by what he said. I was disgusted by what he said. I was embarrassed by what he said. But the most embarrassing thing is I wasn't surprised.
I was just about to say, I bet you weren't shocked, though. I wasn't shocked.
But what saddens me is, I am trying to raise a son to be a kind, compassionate person. And that is not an easy thing to do when the President of the United States is a bully.
That's true.
And closed-minded and racist. I don't know if he's racist in his heart, but he sure sounds it.
It appears and sounds like it.
He sure sounds it. But, it's just, I think, and immigration is a very complicated issue that unfortunately too many people are trying to just use it to race bait and for political points. But I mean, a lot of people come here escaping, death sentences. Literally, in some cases, death sentences. Or you have people who have come here, whose parents brought them here as babies. This country is all they know. They've lived their whole life here. They've worked here. They've paid taxes here. They're part of the community. And yet, for Trump, it's like, you don't matter.
Yeah.
You don't matter. And the hypocrisy of it bothers me, because, his family is immigrants. But this sort of deciding, like, these group of immigrants are okay and these aren't, and that's mostly based on race, is just really disgusting.
Going a bit of a different direction. Throughout your career, you've spoken out against the school-to-prison pipeline.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what are some things that can be done from the senatorial level and from a grassroots level that can kind of prevent the targeting of low-income and minority children?
So we've got several bills in this year on that. As part of the war against drugs, we the General Assembly, I wasn't here then, but we took a lot of discretion away from principals, and sort of had this like zero tolerance. If kids do anything that's a crime, they need to be punished. We need to refer them to law enforcement. And I think that was the first place we went wrong. because in a lot of ways we started down a path of criminalizing childhood. We have been trying to put more discretion back in the hands of principals. We have been saying, look, you need to use alternatives to suspension and expulsion. You need to have some training, and what's frustrating about kids with disabilities is a lot of the symptoms of the disability, especially like autism or anything on the spectrum, a lot of the symptoms start, kindergarten, first grade, and it starts with behavior. And
right.
So you have a kid who's acting out, and a teacher or somebody who is not equipped to recognize there's something more going on here. They just treat it as this kid's behaving badly. This kid doesn't know how to regulate their emotion. It's like, no, this kid's not capable of regulating their emotion. And as you have more kids on the spectrum coming into the schools, it's a bigger problem. So we're trying to tackle it through training. We're trying to tackle it through give the schools more discretion on how to deal with this. We're trying to tackle it with give them more put counselors back in the schools. Limit what you can suspend people for or expel people for. And the biggest thing is the subjective stuff, like disrespect. Like a lot of kids who get suspended or long-term expelled or long-term suspension, it's like, well, they disrespected me. Well, disrespect to me and disrespect to you might be something else. But so you could have the same behavior with two different kids, but two different teachers say, well, this is not a big deal to me, but well, this is a matter of respect. And so they treat them differently. And that's the kind of it's not that the teacher's being bad, it's that they
lack
have
of knowledge. So what kind of message can you give to millennials to get them involved?
I think, so the first thing is sort of understand we are a government by and for the people. Everybody hears that at school. What does that mean? That doesn't just mean it basically means government is only as good as the people who choose to participate. Like who decides to run for office, who decides to vote, who decides to call their senator or delegate and say, here's what I think about this issue. Who asks for bills to be introduced. So if you're sitting at home watching the news, or nobody's watching TV anymore, but
on their phone.
if you're like, I'm frustrated by what people are doing on immigration issues. Like the first step is find out who your representatives are, call them and tell them, or email or whatever. But let your voice be heard is the first step. If your representatives you don't feel are representing you, then vote them out. But get involved with a campaign. Find candidates that you believe in who you think will vote more like the way you want them to vote or work for the change you want, and then support and get them elected. Or maybe think about you doing it. I mean, that's how I got involved, because I at a young age, I was a nerd, I'll admit that. But at a young age, I came to feel government was an important force for change. And I wanted to work to elect people who would create the change I wanted to see. I started volunteering on campaigns. It was fun. And then eventually I started to say, you know what? I want to be the one making the change I want to see. So the first step is just get in there. The second thing I would say is be realistic. I think a lot of people, when they first get involved with politics, government was designed to be, especially a legislative process, a slow, deliberate process. And a lot of people come in and they're like, no, I want change overnight.
Especially millennials.
You can say that.
I'm one of them.
But yeah, so it's like a year later, it's like, well, you haven't done what I wanted you to do, so I'm done with you. I knew this, I'm turned off the politics, but it's like, no, you got to keep at it. You got to keep at it. You got to keep at it, and recognize the system was designed to be slow and incremental, because you're trying to deal with majority rule, but at the same time protect minority points of view. And so it was designed to say you can't just do wholesale change overnight because the public's not ready for it.
Yeah, but I mean, you say you listen to music, so I mean, what's some things that you listen to when you're just trying to relax and
Everything.
like what?
It
What do you listen
really
to?
so it really depends. All right, so I'm going to admit,
You got Hoyt smiling.
yeah, I don't really listen to radio anymore.
Yes.
I don't.
But don't say albums either. What are you listening to here?
Cardi B.
So
Cardi B?
no, everything from. I mean, I like Tupac.
Okay.
It's sort of. I like everything from Tupac and Biggie and Eminem and to classical.
Really?
And I never really liked country until the TV show Nashville came out. So, and I like movie scores, which is really weird, but like Hans Zimmer, like every good movie you think of, Hans Zimmer did the score, and I've got this if it's a Hans Zimmer soundtrack, I'm gonna buy it.
Senator McClellan, you just gained 97 points. I love the Dark Knight trilogy score by Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
The Interstellar. I love this. I'm sorry, this happened.
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. Y'all have y'all moment. That's fine.
That's right.
I'm still loving that she like Tupac. I'm here.
Yeah. Well, there was a time. So I mean, now I'm really showing how old I am. But when I first started practicing law, whenever I would get stressed, I would listen to the Gladiator soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah, because it's just like but even just like Mozart and okay, let's see what's on my playlist now.